When I talk to couples about the struggles in their relationship, one thing becomes very clear to me. They've they've misidentified or misunderstood what real love looks like. In fact, many of them are in relationships that aren't love at all. They're married to people who are manipulative and have been able to twist some concept of love or some truth in it. They twist it to gain control of my client. So I thought it might be helpful to go through a very short list of things that oftentimes can be misconstrued or misunderstood as love when they're actually acts of manipulation for emotional abuse. And this is the first one. Your partner checks in constantly. Now that looks kind of caring, especially if they say something like, I'm just worried about you. I'm thinking about you. I hate to be away from you. But in effect, that's someone who is trying to hang on to you, cut you off from other people so that they can better control you. They'll say stuff like, I love you so much. They make excuses for why they do things or act out impulsively or maybe put you down in public. They may come back, and when you say something to them like, why did you do that? They'll say something like, I just get crazy. I love you so much. That has nothing to do with loving you so much. That has more to do with possessing you so much, needing you for their own. They basically feel like they purchased you and you belong to them. If they say something like, I can't live without you, now that may sound great in a romance novel or on a TV show, but nothing's great about it. In fact, it shows someone who is so vulnerable, has such a low self-concept, that is going to use and manipulate you so bad. These are many times the ones who say, well, if you leave me, I'll commit suicide. And they're trying to hold you accountable for their actions in life. It is a tactic to control you. Don't get sucked into that. If anybody ever says that to you, say, you know what? Then we need to see a counselor right away because there's something terribly wrong with our relationship. If they ever say that you're their whole world, run away. Nobody should tell you that you are their whole world, nor should anybody put you up on a pedestal. That's a sign that that person has some warped idea of what love is, and basically they have no other life. They are people who have never been successful with relationships, and they're going to try and control the one they have with you. You don't need that. If they do things that they say they worry about you, let's say you go someplace and they call you and you're busy with your friends or you're traveling and you can't get to the phone, they may just keep hounding you and demanding you for an answer, and then they yell at you. The reason is because they say they worried about you. If they worried about you, they would be more concerned with your safety. They would look at your itinerary so they knew what to expect more, and they would wait patiently knowing that you would call them if you needed them and as soon as you got to where you were headed for. Couples who do this kind of tactic, it is a manipulation, and it's done to harass you and to remind you that you belong to them. If they want to start a family real soon, be careful. It's a way for them to isolate you and to pull you closer and draw a wall around you guys. They want you all for themselves. They're trying to trap you. If they flatter you constantly, flattery is used as a diversion, and when they do it, and they do it a lot, or they try to make you feel good with it, they're testing your ego too, but mostly they're assuming they can bring you down very low with your self-esteem, so their flattery will be the only thing that keeps you committed. And they like doing that tactic. They don't do it all the time, but when they do it excessively. If he tells you how much you are better than other men or other women, depending on what your partner's sex is, if they tell you that, it's a very derogatory comment toward the sex you are. And not only that, they're putting you up on a pedestal. That means you're going to pay for it, and you're going to pay for it by being totally under their control. If they try to tell you you've had too much to drink, when you're having fun and you haven't had too much to drink. It's a way for them to make you feel like they've got your back. They're there for you, but they're not. It's sheer manipulation. They may see that when you're having fun, you aren't as attached to them, and they're jealous, and so they'll say something like that. If they just love to joke around at your expense, if they'll say things that they know in the past have hurt you, they do it and then they'll go, I was just kidding. You don't kid with things that are hurtful to your partner. If they tell you that, and especially if they know it's something that gets to you, it's a good idea you take note of it and realize it's a manipulation tactic. Another reason that this person needs mental health care. And lastly, if they needed to see you and that's why they flipped out. A lot of people who are emotionally abusive will wait for an audience to flip out, and then they'll harass you, they'll embarrass you, they'll humiliate you in front of other people. They do this to draw attention and sometimes sympathy for onwatchers. Just know it is a manipulator. It is someone who is basically calculating. They know what they've got. They're going to possess you. The reason they began dating you is they thought you were passive, you were someone they could control. So stand up to them so they know that they have misjudged the person they're with. And if you're not in a relationship with this type of person, don't get into one. This person is slimy and they are manipulative, and they make your life hell if you're married to them. You will need a therapist. If you're not married to them, don't. I hope this helps you.